I was going to make a part 2 to my VTuber lore video, all about how to write excellent VTuber lore, when I noticed something. A team of artists and writers could produce a lore video for a VTuber that I enjoyed thoroughly, and then next month, the same team could produce a lore video that I thought was terribly boring. How could this be, I wondered. And that's when it hit me. Making a video on good VTuber lore is a pointless endeavor, because there's something else that dictates whether a VTuber's backstory will turn out interesting or not. And I'll even take that claim one step further. That same thing also determines whether a VTuber themselves will be interesting to the audience or not in everything they do. What is this thing, you ask? It's the idea of VTuber concepts, and I believe VTuber concepts are being sorely overlooked. So what are VTuber concepts? I see a lot of people talking about VTuber designs, models, and lore, but I don't see anyone talking about VTuber concepts. A VTuber concept is the overall conceptualization stage that must happen before a VTuber is born. It is the metaphorical seed you plant to make a VTuber blossom. You can think of a VTuber concept as an elevator pitch of a VTuber character. Usually, a VTuber concept can be expressed in a single phrase describing a VTuber's identity with no visual aid. If it is multiple sentences long, that isn't a VTuber's concept, that's their lore. It is the foundation for everything related to a VTuber. It's the VTuber's identity, a thesis statement of the core of a VTuber, so to speak. And despite being very rarely talked about, a VTuber's concept can be the reason why a VTuber sinks or swims in an oversaturated market, or more importantly, whether a VTuber connects with their own persona and community they strive to build. Just to make sure we are on the same page, I will give you some famous examples. Iron Mouse is a cheeky, charismatic demon queen. Inugami Korone is a bubbly, chaotic bakery dog. Hoshimachi Suisei is a diamond in the rough star idol. Sonic is a fast and cocky hedgehog. Sorry, I had to sneak him in somewhere. V-Shoujo's Kei-san is a gunpla-loving Yakuza delinquent. Calliope Mori is a paternal reaping rapper. Notice how I didn't mention anything about their appearance in these concept descriptions, yet you could probably already envision an image of the character. Again, when I use the word concept, I'm not just talking about designs. Two VTubers with the same idea behind their design can have completely different executions depending on the actual concept behind them. Just look at the major vibe difference between Gargura and Artemis of the Blue. They are both Shark Girl designs, but one was designed with a silly and kawaii concept in mind, while the other was designed with a more mature and calm gamer concept in mind. The reason Gargura and Artemis are both able to coexist is because at their core, their concepts are wildly different. Their personality, target demographics, and content are all different too. It's okay if you're still confused. Let me add a visual aid to break things down for you. Before a VTuber concept is born, a few things should be taken into account. Those things are one's personality and life experiences, their target audience, and what content one wants to make as a VTuber. Once the aspiring VTuber clarifies those three things, they can come up with a concept that suits them and their content best. This concept will be kept in mind for all future decisions a VTuber will make. On the branding side, a VTuber's concept will dictate their naming scheme, their greetings, lore, and character quirks they may add on, such as a funny laugh, a catchphrase, or a character voice, and might influence the lyrics and genre of songs they release, or merchandising they make. On the design side, the VTuber's concept will consistently theme their stream overlays, schedules, alerts, and of course, the character design and future outfits that their model will have. Then finally, once a VTuber's concept has been decided, they can make content that is inspired by their concept in the form of streams or videos that match their theming and character. Don't worry if you don't get this chart just yet, we will revisit it more in depth later on in the video. So why do VTubers need a specific concept in mind? The key word here is cohesion. Having a VTuber concept doesn't just help someone pick a fitting design and theme. A VTuber's concept can work as a vision statement to keep their content consistent in all aspects. Having a clear concept in mind gives a VTuber a compass that continually points them in the same direction for everything related to their channel. If they continue to refer back to their concept for everything they do, the branding, theming, design, and content they make will all feel like they fit together cohesively. Now here's where the title of this video comes into play. I believe a lot of the best VTubers follow their own concepts subconsciously, but I never see anyone mention this as a major part of a VTuber's success. Part of the reason VTuber concept is overlooked is because it is such an easy step to miss. In reality, it's the invisible glue that holds a VTuber's online identity together and couldn't be more important. Now that we've established what VTuber concepts are and why they are important, let's review the type of VTuber concepts that tend to be successful. Unique concepts. Unique concepts are typically made up of character concepts that haven't been done often, and character concepts that have a unique combination of themes. Unique concepts will ensure a VTuber has an interesting brand, intriguing lore, and memorable design. Without a unique concept, oftentimes the other aspects of a VTuber may come out feeling bland or generic, regardless of how well the rest of the team behind the VTuber performs. Some examples of VTubers with unique concepts are Goria, Neurosama, Lasso Katsuri, Kobo Kaneru, Hyakuman Bara Salome, and Rin Penrose. Anime trope concepts. Since VTubers are based on anime aesthetics and appeal to anime fans, some VTuber characters also have their concepts based on anime tropes. This is more common in early VTubers in Japanese agencies such as Hololive and Nijisanji. Anime trope VTuber character concepts serve the important role of converting anime fans into the earliest group of VTuber fans by presenting them with something familiar from their favorite animes. However, this type of VTuber concept quickly fell out of style as the genre of VTubing became more popular and mainstream, mainly because there are only so many anime tropes for characters to be based on, so anime trope concepts became immediately saturated. Contemporary VTubers tend to use anime tropes as secondary characteristics, but rarely surround their core concept around them to avoid being predictable and unmemorable. If you are working on a VTuber concept yourself, I recommend avoiding basing an entire concept solely off an anime trope for those reasons. Some examples of VTubers with anime trope character concepts are Natsuhiro Matsuri, Ozora Subaru, Tsukino Mito, Kenmochi Toya, and pretty much the majority of Japanese talents in Hololive and Nijisanji's first generations. Complementary concepts. Complementary concepts are VTuber concepts that match the actor or actress's personality traits closely. This doesn't necessarily have to include their real-life physical appearance, but it can, as is the case for Lily Pichu and Kei-san. More importantly, a complementary VTuber concept will fit an actor or actress's voice, mannerisms, and personality. Complementary concepts are successful because they immerse the audience in consistency and provide the audience with a sense of familiarity. Some examples of VTubers with complementary concepts are Vox Akume, Selen Tatsuki, Tokino Sora, Gargura, Noir Vesper, and Nina Kosaka. Contrasting concepts. Serving as the antithesis of complementary concepts, contrasting concepts can be equally as effective. Where complementary concepts match an actor's natural personality and voice, a contrasting concept will serve to do the exact opposite. A contrasting concept will take the natural traits of an actor or actress and select a theme and design that is the direct opposite, thus bringing attention to the gap between the actor and the avatar. Some members of my audience brought up the term commonly used in anime called gap moe. I don't know about gap moe a lot myself, but when I think of contrasting concepts, I think of Alphonse Elric from the manga and anime Fullmetal Alchemist. Visually, Alphonse Elric is large and intimidating, with a cold suit of armor and bright red eyes. However, personality-wise and voice-wise,
僕は弟のアルフォンス・エルリックです。
Alphonse Elric is a sweet, naive young boy who loves cats and the simple pleasures in life. The contrast of these two aspects of his character concept is part of what makes Alphonse's character so compelling to the audience. And so I say, if you have a love for a certain aesthetic, but you're afraid your voice doesn't match the visuals you have in mind for a VTuber concept, don't shy away from it. Instead, lean into that gap between yourself and your concept. Some examples of VTubers with contrasting concepts are Porcelain Maid, Fruit, Luca Kaneshiro, Hachima, Amane Kanata, and Mysterious. Group concepts. When a VTuber belongs to an agency, often it's a good idea to have their concept match the rest of the group or generation so that they all fit together thematically. Typically, their concepts, designs, and lore will all follow the same overall theme so that people can immediately recognize the larger brand that they are attached to. Nijisanji and Hololive also have a theme each of their generation follows. I covered those themes more in depth in my video on agency VTuber lore. However, there are some other VTuber groups to note here too. Some of my favorite VTuber groups with matching concepts include FOMS Project and Things VTubers Say. Because VTuber groups and agencies often adhere to group concepts and theming, that means that the majority of the time, agency VTubers cannot choose their own concept. If you audition for an agency, you have to be ready to play a character that the agency gives you. That doesn't mean you can't make the character your own though. Korone, Hachima, Emilia Watson, and Pecora are all great examples of VTubers who were given one concept but slowly molded their character concepts to match their own vision and personality. Agencies also seem to be shifting in the direction of allowing individuals to choose their own character concepts. Agencies like Phase Connect, Idol, Amberglow, Lucid Multimedia, RealCorp, and Kawa Entertainment allow their talents some freedom to choose or keep their own VTuber concepts. I believe that concept freedom will be the way of the future, because having a concept that matches a VTuber's personality and aesthetic tastes actually improves the quality of content they are able to make for that agency. Which leads me to the question, what happens if a VTuber doesn't feel any connection with their VTuber character concept? When a VTuber isn't feeling connected to their concept, they can lose motivation to continue their activities. Audiences may also notice a disconnect between the VTuber's concept and their actual personality over time. This disconnect can lead to a lower audience turnout and the VTuber to feel uncomfortable in their own virtual skin. If the VTuber is unable to make the character their own, they may even feel too unmotivated to continue activities under that persona. That actually happened to me. I didn't start my VTuber journey as the adorable Honduran white bat you see today. Before I was Yam, I was a forest nymph named Lorelei. I streamed as Lorelei on Twitch for an entire year before realizing I wasn't connecting to my VTuber character. As an aspiring character designer, I assumed that the problem was the visual design of my character, so I immediately got to drafting new designs for Lorelei. Still, after designing all of these, I didn't feel any connection to them. That's when I realized the problem wasn't just the design of my VTuber. It was more so the fact that I didn't connect to my character concept on a personal level. Lorelei's concept is an adventurous and optimistic forest nymph. Personally, I admire adventurous people, but I myself am more of a calm homebody. As for the optimistic part, it was hard to always be 100% positive in front of my audience without being able to be real with them on occasion. Lastly, forest and water nymphs are associated with natural beauty, nudity, and luring men to their doom, which gave my audience the wrong impression of me. And so, no matter how many times I changed up my design, I wasn't happy with the core concept at its heart. Therefore, no amount of playing with Lorelei's design was going to make her concept work for me. Once I realized that, I knew it was time to rebrand into a concept that fit me better. So how does one know if they have a good VTuber concept on their hands that is suitable for their own personality? That's what I set out to find out in this video. I can't give any hard and fast rules, but here are some ideas on how to think through a VTuber concept step by step. If you're an aspiring VTuber who's looking to come up with your first VTuber concept, or if you're an established VTuber who thinks they might want to solidify their own concept after watching this video, I will have a printable worksheet linked down below in the comments for you to fill out as you follow along. And even if you aren't a VTuber, I still think you may be curious to know why your Oshi works so well as a VTuber character, so stick around. Okay, now that you have your printouts, let's go back to the flowchart I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Personal traits, planned content genre, and target audience all come before making a VTuber concept, so let's go over those first. Section A, personal traits. What personality traits do you want to carry over into your VTuber? Are there any aspects of yourself you want to emphasize in your VTuber character? For me, as Yamkomori, I decided to focus on my low energy and comfortable nature because that is what my audience has told me they like about my personality. If you're struggling to pin down your own personality, I would recommend using some personality quizzes to help you out. Some are more reliable than others, but you can look into Jungian archetypes, the Myers-Briggs personality test, and even just character quizzes from your favorite media. They might help you get inspired. Section B, planned content genre. What type of content do you want to create as a VTuber? Do you want to release music, play competitive video games, give comedic commentary, or build Gundam on stream? Do you want to stream for hours at a time or make videos? Do you want to host live concerts? All of your content creation goals should be kept in mind here. When rebranding to Yamkomori, I knew that I wanted to switch from trying to be a music idol and variety streamer into making some more analytical long-form videos. I still wanted to release music and stream on occasion, but videos were mainly what I was keeping in mind. Section C, target audience. Who's your target audience? What is your target demographic interested in? Do you have a specific gender or age range in mind? For me, my target audience is people who are interested in becoming VTubers and fans of existing VTubers. That means my target audience is mainly adult anime fans and artists. I don't have a specific gender in mind for my content, since my aspiring VTuber audience skews more female, but my VTuber fan audience skews more male. So they balance each other out in my demographics. Now that we have the first row of the flowchart filled out, we can move on to the real deal. Let's talk about coming up with a VTuber concept. I unfortunately can't tell you exactly how to come up with your VTuber concept, but here are some pointers on the mindset you should have going into creating a VTuber concept. 1. Always keep yourself in mind. How do you want to represent yourself on the internet? Do you want to play a character with tons of deep lore? Or do you want to use VTubing as a way to be yourself anonymously behind an avatar? What are some of your favorite animals, professions, and aesthetics? Come up with multi-layer concepts. Multi-layered concepts are a way to make a generic concept more unique. Single-layer concepts would be something like an angel, a cat, or a gamer. In order to make these concepts multi-layered, we can add other aesthetics, professions, or personality traits to these concepts. So now we have a futuristic angel with a shotgun, a Maine Coon cowboy, and a gamer who's secretly a demon slayer. The extra layers you add to a concept will aid in setting your brand apart from the saturated VTuber market, while also allowing for a more interesting VTuber design down the line. 3. Experiment a lot. I would recommend coming up with 3 to 5 VTuber concepts in the beginning. Think of potential names and design elements for each of these concepts. Use Pinterest and create mood boards for them. List out the pros and cons of each concept. 4. Do your research. So you have a few concepts written down. The next thing to do is to research each aspect of your concept. This was the step I regretted skipping the most with my first VTuber character. Had I done my research about nymphs and how they are typically portrayed in storytelling, I would have never chosen that concept for myself in the first place. Make sure you know the connotations and cultural tropes that surround each aspect of your character concept. That way you won't be surprised about new viewers' first impressions of you. 5. Take your time on the final selection. If you still can't decide, you can even use some free-to-use models and privately stream as each character concept to see how you feel as each of the character options in front of you. It's okay to change your mind early on too. Just try to avoid going forward with commissioning an artist for a VTuber model, only to change your mind when you realize the concept doesn't suit you or your content. Once you have a VTuber character concept you are confident in, congratulations! You can finally move forward to the fun parts like choosing graphics, writing lore, and of course, designing your VTuber character. That's something worth celebrating. Epilogue: long-term VTuber concepts. Once you get established as a creator, your concept as a VTuber may change or refine itself over time. Your chat may also add their own headcanons and interpretations of your character that you may want to adopt. For instance, I may get loud on stream sometimes.
They just get more markers. There's like so...
And my audience has dubbed that my echolocation, since my character concept is a bat. You may also see a natural shift in your concept over time as you grow as a content creator and person. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to rebrand every few years though. Your audience will be happy to see how you've grown and changed over the years, even if you look the same on the outside. Fans get used to your appearance and personality, so I wouldn't recommend changing them too often. Embrace the changes that happen naturally over time, and just don't overthink it. So, did I convince you that character concepts are super important for VTubers to have? What are your favorite VTuber concepts out there? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to check out my printable worksheet in the description box below if you would like to work on a VTuber concept. Remember to subscribe for more, and as always, take care, Bat Bunch.